Good morning and welcome to a new week, one and all. I'm John Iadarola. This is the Damage Report. Today is going to be a fantastic Monday. I don't know why, but I'm feeling quite good. Excited for the day, excited for the week. Maybe because I've had like exactly the right amount of caffeine. Maybe because against all odds, the third draft of my book is going pretty well. But I'm very excited. One thing that's definitely contributing to the overall good vibes is Sabrina. Abelina Sabrina returns to the show. Sabrina, how's it going?
Good morning. Very happy sunny vibes over here. I didn't know you were writing a book.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that talks about it a lot. So get ready. Anyway, I'm gonna make you listen. If I ever start CrossFit, you're all doomed. If I become vegan, you guys are doomed. But anyway, very glad to have you here. Full disclosure for the audience, I was not going to have any more pressure to dye my hair purple. So I made Sabrina dye her hair normal again, because I'm not gonna have it. I'm just not, no, just vibes, no dyes. That's what I say. So thank you for complying with that, Sabrina. I do appreciate that.
You're so welcome. You know, now you're gonna need a new emote, because I know you've got the Turk's perp on Twitch. Now you're gonna need like a brown Turk, or does that sound too much like brown turd? I don't see. That's why you gotta go with purple. Purple's better.
I'm like that. Anyway, we're very excited to have you here. It's been a little bit since you've been on. For people who might not be familiar with your work, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So primarily on YouTube, I make comedy sketches with like a little bit of a political edge, or sometimes we'll do actual political videos depending on what's going on in the news, as well as Twitch. We talk about the news and we also play spooky games, especially this month. We're playing a lot of Phasmophobia, just like we did last week with Jordan Yule.
You did. And I once played Phasmophobia with you as well. By the way, everybody, I did great. Did we catch the ghost? I don't remember. Anyway, it was fun. Everyone should definitely check out. We're gonna be talking about a lot of things later on today, including Kyrsten Sinema, the future of protests of Kyrsten Sinema. Sabrina has a great running line of sketches involving Sinema. You gotta go find her doing Sinema trying out what her little thumbs down is gonna be, what move she's gonna do. But more recently, you did a little bit of parody of the protests of her, right?
Yeah, there was some protesters followed her into a restroom and she tried to hide in there. And I imagine that there must have been some other people there. So I was just imagining, like, if somebody else is in this stall, what would be going through their head? So I made a sketch about the other person in the bathroom while Kyrsten Sinema is trying to hide from protesters.
It was a good one. Everyone should definitely go check that out on YouTube. Okay, everyone, we're about to launch into almost 90 minutes of awesome news. Awesome because it's gonna be fun to talk about. It's not great, a lot of it, unfortunately, but hey, America, 2021, what do you want? But while we're doing that, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, sharing the stream, that would be great. And if you wanna send us any tweets, comments, super chats, questions, all that, criticism, we won't read those, but I'll see them, they'll hurt me. You can do that and we'll respond to some of it during the break, so that'll be a lot of fun. And with that said, Sabrina, are you ready to talk about some news?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it indeed. Everybody, it is a holiday, but which holiday it is depends on who you are. For some, it's Columbus Day, or as our elected leaders say, Happy Columbus Day. That's Marjorie Greene. When you want to assure your followers that you support the racist one, but you're in such a rush, you ain't know what his name is. Yeah, sure, whatever. But anyway, this is gonna be a bit of a theme. The right wing not happy with the newer iteration of what this day should be, which is Indigenous Peoples Day. And a number of states have moved to officially observe it more every year. It's a holiday to recognize the native populations that were displaced and decimated after Christopher Columbus and other European explorers reached the continent. Actually, 130 cities across the country have ditched Columbus Day for Indigenous Peoples Day, and the list grows every year. But Sabrina, there are some who are not happy with it. They've been waging this war to save Columbus Day, which, like those Dr. Seuss books that the publisher decided not to print, nobody would care about until it's threatened in some way. Who's celebrating Columbus Day? 20 years ago, you were baking a Columbus pie? Who was? Nobody. But they have to pretend that they were. People like Tucker Carlson, who warned that they're trying to cancel Columbus Day. At that point, there was a national conversation about replacing it with Juneteenth as a national holiday. Jesus. You've got places like the Federalist writing articles like how to cook the Columbus Day feast of liberal nightmares. Okay, and I love that little lies, smears, and slander. Christopher Columbus may be one of the first cancel culture, and it happened right in his own time. It's not even a grammatically correct sentence. It's also historical nonsense, but we'll get to that. Is a little bit more. JD Vance tweeted, Indigenous Peoples Day is a fake holiday created to sow division. Of course, Joe Biden is the first president to pay any attention. We'll get to that. I love that it's the fake holiday, as Manny Fidel pointed out on Twitter. Yeah, it's a fake holiday made in a factory as opposed to the very real authentic holidays that you can find in the animal kingdom. Anyway, they're really worked up about this, Sabrina. What do you think about this last-ditch defense of Columbus Day?
What I want to know is why I wasn't getting invited to all of the Columbus Day barbecues, the Columbus Day parties, the
Social
Columbus
distancing.
Day gift exchange. I mean,
Yeah.
throughout the whole years, if this mattered so much to them, where were the invites? I mean,
balls.
it's not like the balls. I mean, it's
Like
not like they're gonna
dances.
lose anything. Yeah, sure. It's not like they're gonna lose anything. You're still getting the day off. It's just, what's in a name type thing. Apparently a lot. So I don't understand why they're so upset. I mean, we understand.
You do.
We do understand. It's just not justified at all. And especially what Indigenous people in this, land have been through. The fact that it's barely happening in 2021 and it's still getting so much pushback. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Although there are a couple things about this fight that I don't know if I would say like, but appreciate in comparison to other news. And let me explain what it is. One, we know that they have to have something to fight against. So right now it's Save Columbus Day. In a week, if not earlier, it's gonna be the war on Christmas. But here's the thing, at least this is kind of true. They always do the whole war on Christmas thing. There ain't no war on Christmas. It ain't real, it's made up. I give presents, I'm the biggest atheist in the world. I still have a tree, it's made up. This, at least, we are trying to replace it. And for good reason, we're gonna make the case, but at least it's founded in reality. So I sort of appreciate that. Also, I feel like, and maybe the audience can attest to this, if you are left and you are doing news or following news, we have to follow and respond to so much nonsense of theirs, them coming up with just so much BS that we then have to disprove or fact check or whatever. In this case, at least they're responding to us for once. We get to lead the news by creating Indigenous Peoples Day and making it broader and all of that. I appreciate those small things. I don't know, maybe they're small victories.
No, and you're right. It's like, oh no, this is cancel culture. And we're like, well, yeah, actually you're right. Yeah, we do want to cancel this. Yeah, you got it. You're actually right this time. Just this much though.
Yeah.
Everything else. Oh, we could talk. But no, you're right. Cancel it.
The talk about cancel culture, like it's taking centuries to cancel this thing, and the dude's already dead. He ain't gonna be hurting from it, okay? And this is the best cancel culture can accomplish. Anyway, I wanna read one more take on this from a very serious right-winger. Candidate for the Senate, Josh Mandel, said, Christopher Columbus was an American hero. And I really hope that I don't have to explain to you what the problem with that is. You big idiot. Okay, look, we all have to have heroes. We all want American heroes, whether it's, I don't know, maybe you like some of our famous scientists, or you like, I don't know, the first man on the moon or Gandalf. These are American heroes. Christopher Columbus is like an Italian hero maybe a Spanish hero for what he did, but he ain't an American hero because he lived, died, got planted in the ground, and rotted to nothing long before there was an American. Ipso facto, you don't get to be one of our heroes, buddy.
Absolutely, he should not be. And if he knows even anything about, Columbus beyond what they teach you in elementary school, then you would know he was a terrible person. Besides the whole genocide thing, he was like into
beside that,
children, which is probably like the worst thing that you can do. Bam, couple it up with like rape and sexual assault of very young people. Like he is the worst. He is one of the worst people in history. It's not just a matter of, stealing this land from the indigenous people. It's who he is as a person. That's who you want to stand behind.
Yeah, 100%. And it's totally true. So like you have the good reasons to have Indigenous Peoples Day as one tiny little like way of, hey, can we at least acknowledge the horrendous things that were done for like hundreds and hundreds of years and are kind of still being done? Look into the, the crackdowns on protests and things like that. And then also Columbus, again, man, if you think cancel culture is a real thing, we can't cancel a genocidal rapist. And you think cancel culture is a big deal. But anyway, I do want to talk about the facts behind this. We do this every year. If you've been watching the Damage Report for a number of years, we do. And I like to acknowledge my privilege. In fact, I'm gonna use my privilege here. I'm Italian, so I get to slam them all I want. You can't say nothing about me. You can downvote my videos about Dave Chappelle, but I get to slam Chris Columbus if I want to. Anyway, as one of the earlier tweeters acknowledged, President Biden became the first US president to issue a proclamation commemorating Indigenous Peoples Day, writing that Monday was a day on which the country, quote, celebrates the invaluable contributions and resilience of Indigenous peoples, recognizes their inherent sovereignty, and commits to honoring the federal government's trust and treaty obligations to tribal nations. This was received well by the president of Navajo Nation, who said, transforming Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day will encourage young Navajos to have pride in the place and people they come from and the beauty they hold within. This is a beautiful thing. It's like the easiest thing Biden can do, so I'm only gonna give him minimal credit, but nobody else did it, including Barack Obama. So Sabrina, I guess that's worthy of something, right?
I guess we can give him a little bit of credit. Yeah. Just a touch, not enough to go to his head, but just a touch, a little bit of credit.
Okay, we'll give him that slightest bit. But I do want to talk about what we're replacing, because as Sabrina put very well, this is not a good guy. It's not a good guy, and not just because of the fact that a lot of what we believe about him is a myth. The idea that he discovered America, discovered a place that had people living in it for so long that other travelers from outside of the Americas had to found too. It's just not true. But also what he actually did when he got here. And so I'm gonna read a few of my favorite graphics that I come back to every year. So here is Columbus's letters. Christopher Columbus wrote a letter back to Dona Juana de la Torre about one of the sort of characteristics of the new land he was helping to set up. There are plenty of dealers who go about looking for girls. Those from 9 to 10 are now in demand, and for all ages, a good price must be paid. Jesus. Now, I don't know for sure that he's referencing there 9 to 10-year-old girls being sold into sexual slavery, although they definitely were, and he was a part of it. But he definitely means enslaving 9 to 10-year-old indigenous girls, and he thinks it's cool. One of the people working under Columbus wrote a diary. That's how we know quite a bit of what happened at the time. Here's what he said. Here's an interaction that he had with Columbus. He said, while I was in the boat, I captured a very beautiful woman whom the Lord Admiral Columbus gave to me. When I had taken her to my cabin, she was naked, as was their custom. I was filled with a desire to take my pleasure with her and attempted to satisfy my desire. She was unwilling and so treated me with her nails that I wished I had never begun. I then took a piece of rope and whipped her soundly, and she let forth such incredible screams that you would not have believed your ears. Eventually, we came to such terms, I assure you, that you would have thought she had been brought up in a school for whores. That was one woman who Columbus gave to one of his workers as a sexual slave gift. That woman lived a life of unimaginable terror after that. And that is what Christopher Columbus did. He came to a place that had already been discovered and settled and took the people that lived there, and those who did not die, and many died, and we'll turn to that, he believed were only as good as the materials they could deliver to him and the function they could serve as sexual slaves to be handed out like stocking stuffers. So he's an absolutely reprehensible individual. The idea that you would defend this person makes no sense unless you are explicitly trying to appeal to a broader base of racists. And that is apparently what is going on.
Well, and the thing is, I feel like a lot of people don't get the opportunity to even learn this. I mean, in elementary school, we learn like Columbus, friendly guy, came over on the Mayflower and he befriended, the indigenous people of the lands, and they shared and it was great. They still teach that today. They don't actually, they haven't adjusted like the school curriculum. So I'm not surprised that, people who grew up with this, who are still growing up with this, yeah, they are like, oh, well, I learned this in school, so it must be okay. Like it's a much deeper problem than just, changing the name of a holiday. It's much deeper than, Joe Biden saying that he's all for it. Like, no, we actually have to get a little bit closer to the root of it. You can't just change the name and expect it to be okay, because now we have resistance like we are seeing now.
Yeah, 100%. Like they know all this stuff is not true. Like so much of what you're taught as a kid is not true. And continuing to just tell you something that isn't true because like maybe it'll like teach you something else. I get that in, I don't know, other venues like Sunday school or something, but this is an academic environment. If there's literally any place where you're supposed to at least pretend to care if what you're teaching is accurate, like it's supposed to be the school. If we found out that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, we wouldn't keep telling you because like, oh, that's what I learned in the 80s. But that is what we do with arguably as consequential material. We gotta fight back against this. But again, we can't even cancel the guy who gave a woman to a man who tortured her until she was the whore he needed. Like kids selling 9 and 10-year-olds into sexual slavery. And this is a movement defending him that if you ask them, they believe the most important thing is fighting back against an elite cabal of child sex traffickers. But they're defending one who literally was. Isn't that hypothetical? This is what he did. His men bragged about the prostitutes they were given by him, the slaves they were given, and they defend him. Again, they really hate fictional child rapists. They love real ones though. Anyway, really fast, I also want to mention the murder because a lot of killing happened too. According to that same underling, Columbus ordered 1,500 men and women seized, letting 400 go and condemning 500 to be sent back to Spain as slaves. Another 600 were enslaved by Spanish men remaining on the island. About 200 of the 500 sent to Spain died on the voyage and were thrown by the Spanish overboard into the Atlantic. Just a few hundred people killed because he wanted to send back an initial shipment of slaves to make his benefactor happy. But that is nothing compared to what happened over time. There were about 300,000 inhabitants of Hispaniola in 1492. Between 1494 and 1496, 100,000 died, half due to mass suicide. And I don't know all of what happened on that island during those few years, but if it led 50,000 people to commit suicide, I have to imagine it was apocalyptic. Just a few years later, the population was down to 60,000. 40 years later, it was about 500, from 300,000 to 500. But let's cheer on the guy who masterminded this and who oversaw this. Like we have genocides that we acknowledge. has there ever been a genocide as effective in cutting out a larger portion of a population? In just 50 years, you killed 99% of all the people that lived in this area. But yeah, let's cheer him on. Let's celebrate him, but let's never acknowledge any of this stuff. It's madness, Sabrina.
I'm just shocked. And again, like I feel like if people actually had the opportunity to learn these figures and to read some of these like entries like you just read out, I would hope that their opinion would change a little bit. But I can only imagine, no, there would still be pushback even upon learning it, because the point is to be contrarian, liberal issue type thing. They're gonna fight it.
Yeah, and look, let's keep it real. What percentage of the American people give an even theoretical damn about the people that died on that island at the time? Like honestly, really, do you think that 10% of America like would shed half a tear over that? They would not. They would not. And these are the same people, by the way, that are horrified at the idea of immigrants coming into our land and just taking our jobs or whatever. But for some reason, this doesn't bother them. Anyway, we're going to take our, but let me just quickly mention, it's that we do this every year, this same story, and we will continue to. Until I'm old and gray, assuming the Pop-Tarts and stuff don't catch up to me and I actually make it to be old and gray, we are going to keep doing this. And we are going to see if any progress comes, it's gonna be glacial. Maybe that 130 cities will be 150 next year. Maybe it'll be 200 in 10 years, but we're still gonna be celebrating Columbus Day because we're literally the worst. Anyway, we're gonna take a short break, but when we come back, nope, still bad. I'll see you then. It's so bad, Sabrina, but thank you for being here. Okay, so let's see what's going on out there in the audience. Dabby Dragon has been a tier 2 member for 10 months on YouTube. Thank you, says love you guys. Love you, thank you for being there. Did you know that our tier 2 members on YouTube get access to a special top 10 list that we record each Monday? Today, we're very lucky that Sabrina is gonna be joining us. We're gonna be talking about a fun one. Our top 10 crimes against food. So things people do or don't do to food that we find personally revolting. I'm gonna be giving 5, Sabrina's gonna be giving 5. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And thank you to Sabrina for joining us for that. Vicky Gray sent in a super chat saying it's a beautiful Santa blah blah day and we get Sabrina. Sending love to all of you. Thank you, Vicky Gray. A very generous super chat, much appreciated. Gary says it's Canadian Thanksgiving. Is it? Is that a thing? Should I know that that's a thing? I feel bad, Canada. I should know you better. I should visit you. Is it Canadian Thanksgiving though?
I think it
What does that
might
mean?
be. It's earlier than ours.
What does that mean? Anyway, hey, speaking of topics for which we as children were sorely miseducated, Thanksgiving. Anyway, okay, let's see. Kyra says, check how is this still a thing last week tonight? Okay, I assume that they talked about it on last week tonight. Why not? As I've always said. Though we have had very different lives, me and John Oliver cover exactly the same things independently, and I go first. So if anybody's copying anybody, anyway. Okay, Geek Dragon says his real name was Cristoforo Colombo. The exotic name would be enough for the right to cancel him. No, maybe it's worth a try. Anyway, Franklin Sharpslicer says, Christopher is a hero, or so they say. He murdered people, and I'm sure he garnered slaves. Didn't even find America, but Cuba was kind of close, but that don't count that much, no. Happy Indigenous Day. Thank you, Franklin, for your poetry on this holiday. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see. We have a note from Bart. We have 2 notes from Bart, actually. One I will get to in a sec. But he says, one of Christopher Columbus's intentions was to find the shortest trade route to the West Indies. Growing up, I never understood why we celebrated someone who went the wrong way and found greatness in that. Columbus definitely went the wrong way on many levels. Yes, I think in the end, that was the least of his troubles. But yeah, he was faking it until he makes it. And what he made was genocide. Anyway, Bart also wanted us to acknowledge that the creator of Cats was apparently appalled by the movie version and was so distressed by it that he had to get a rescue dog to get him through as an emotional support thing. Thank you for letting me know about that, Bart. Okay, Progressive Chihuahua says, Paulie Walnuts is gonna be so mad that Christopher Columbus got canceled. I think that's a Sopranos thing, but it's been a while since I watched. Okay, over on Twitch, something Dragon hit 13 months as a subscriber saying, hey Dragon Daddy, I turned 35 yesterday and I'm making it rain Bezos bucks today. Happy Monday, thank you, and happy birthday as well. Raider Kaliafa 4420 hit 6 months, says 6 months on Fantastic Monday, woohoo. Well, technically it's Sabrina-tastic Monday today, but yes, traditionally they're fantastic. Okay. Let's see, Ian of the Shire hit 10 months, says 10 months going strong. What color are you going with this time, John? I'm not dying anything this time, but we'll see, we'll see.
5,000 gift subs, 5,000 gift subs, and we will turn John's hair pink.
Pink with frosted tips if we hit 5,000 gift subs. I think I'm gonna be okay. Okay, stick around, we'll be right back. I don't think we're gonna hit 5,000. Anyway, okay, with that, why don't we get back into the news? Donald Trump is in the background of all of this, gearing up for his next run for president. If that requires some political violence, he's gonna be just fine with that. We don't cover every bit of this, but we do have to acknowledge that it's important. And so we're gonna check in on a couple little elements of the big lie that are circulating out there, including that he sent in a pre-recorded video to a sort of vigil or commemoration of the birthday of Ashley Babbitt, the woman who was killed on January 6th while attacking the Capitol. Here is what he had to say.
It's an honor to address each of you gathered today to cherish the memory of Ashley Babbitt, a truly incredible person. To Ashley's family and friends, please know that her memory will live on in our hearts for all time. I especially want to express my great sympathy to Ashley's loving husband, Aaron, and her wonderful mother, Mickey. I spoke to both of them, these are great people. Together we grieve her terrible loss. There was no reason Ashley should have lost her life that day. We must all demand justice for Ashley and her family. So on this solemn occasion, as we celebrate her life, we renew our call for a fair and nonpartisan investigation into the death of Ashley Babbitt. I offer my unwavering support to Ashley's family and call on the Department of Justice to reopen its investigation into her death on January 6th.
Okay, so Sabrina, he's continuing to help this myth that they want. What they want is they want a martyr for the 6th. And while Donald Trump, if he ever has to testify, is going to say, I had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it, wasn't involved. No, nothing, don't pin anything on me. He desperately wants people to come out of that experience thinking that was not a horrible, needless tragedy with a horrible, needless death during it. It was a great thing. She was doing a great thing. In dying in pursuit of his big lie, she became a great person, a true patriot. And the lesson there is not about Ashley Babbitt, it's about everyone else. He wants everyone else to be ready to become an Ashley Babbitt, if that's what's required to get him into power. And that's why I find this to be disgusting, that he would continue to be a part of it. But what do you think?
I'm sure that he wishes he had more Ashley Babbitts on that day. And there were certainly people who were very ready to go that distance. But Ashley Babbitt is very much the name that came out of it. So it is weird that like on one side he's trying to like distance himself from it, but then also he is, doing this pre-recorded message. And also, did you catch that moment where the camera like pans to the audience? And I don't know if that was like her mother, but there was a blonde older woman wearing a shirt that said, "Say her name." Are you kidding me? Do you know why say her name? It's even a thing. It's for victims who don't even get any coverage, and that's why people have to say her name. And it's about people whose or women whose like murders go unsolved and unnoticed. And really, like, we all have, it was pretty much caught in 4K exactly what happened, and everybody knows exactly why, Ashley's no longer with us. And so the fact that somebody would take this message of say her name and try to apply it to Ashley Babbitt, that's gross.
Yeah, and you're saying Ashley Babbitt's name. Who's not saying her name? I literally don't even understand what this conspiracy theory is about. When have we not said her name? I don't understand that. Now, look, it is a tragedy that she died. I personally think the tragedy is that a politician would so callously, cruelly, dishonestly inspire his followers to go do something crazy that would result in one of them dying. But I've said from the very beginning, like the fact that the officer was formally exonerated, I still hate that the officer shot and killed someone. I'm not in favor of officers killing anyone. I always hope that something else could be done. He could say, it's a tragedy that she died. I wish the cop hadn't shot her. I wish that she hadn't felt like she needed to attack the Capitol. He's not saying any of that. He says she shouldn't have died, but he doesn't identify why she died. Why were any of them trying to break through that door? I wish that she hadn't. I don't think it's awesome or cool that a cop killed someone just because the person they killed disagrees with me. I'm not one of those people, and you can find them online. But the entire thing is disgusting. And we're gonna talk more tomorrow about this. Apparently there's an example from basically the run up to the takeover by the Nazis of Germany, where there had been a previous attempt at a coup and there was a death, and that person was held up as a martyr. Everyone should be willing to be this person. So just understand that there is historical precedent for creating the myth of a martyr to justify political violence, which is what this was, and this is what he's moving towards. And it's supported by a bunch of other politicians that won't be honest about anything underlying the big lie, including eventually the violence that we saw. We have this candidate. This is Trump's endorsed pick for Arizona governor, Kari Lake. Here is a little bit of Kari Lake talking about the insurrection.
You still have people, and from January 6th are still in jail.
Yeah, and they haven't been charged with a crime.
We have not been charged.
And they were invited in by Capitol Police.
Okay, so look, if you want to point out that there were some cops that seemed to be totally cool with what was going on, great, let's have that conversation. Let's investigate, let's find out which cops those were and why they did that. But a lot of cops are trying to stop them too. The mob of beating them with flagpoles and things like that, that's not generally how invitations go. I don't know, Sabrina, you've invited people to things. Did they often beat you with flagpoles and fire extinguishers and stuff like that?
Not all of them, not all of them, and especially not with flags that said Blue Lives Matter while getting one of those blue lives. It just goes to show it really was never about blue lives, was it, John?
No, blue lives that support them, sure. Same as soldiers that support them, whatever. If you support us, we like you. The second you turn from that, they don't give a damn about you anymore. That was very clear from what we saw. And look, this is just more and more common. They believe that they cannot get elected unless they say whatever nonsense Trump has said, because someone's gonna say it, and that's the one that the Republicans are gonna vote for. And so you think you've got crazies now. You got Marjorie Greene or whatever. We showed you the Columbus Day or whatever. Can you imagine the people that were, I guess they didn't maybe think they could get elected when she ran, but now they're watching. Like, this is how movements work. People want a pure and more crazy version of whatever it is that they believe. You can find this in literally everything. And so people like Kari Lake, you're gonna have to get ready for a whole bunch of them. Some of them will lose, but a lot of them will win in states where effectively, if you win your primary, you've won the election. We're gonna have people like this, and a lot of them are ready to change the results of future elections. She'll be in charge of Arizona potentially in 2024, when maybe we have another close election. And someone like that refuses to acknowledge that the election wasn't stolen in 2020 could be in charge. We got a lot of those, Sabrina.
Speaking of Arizona, in terms of like crazier people running for office, I know we're all looking forward to Kyrsten Sinema getting primaried, but what if we get somebody worse? What if we get somebody who is more sympathetic to January 6th? That is a scary and very real thought. This is not to defend Kyrsten, by the way, at all.
No, well, I know you're one of her biggest fans.
Clearly.
Look, if she somehow fends off a challenge and then loses to a Republican, that will be terrible. While at the same time, you gotta take your good times when you could get them. Look, I would say don't nominate a person like Kyrsten Sinema. I really think that. And they say, well, no, that's what you need in like a purple state like this. You need like someone who appeals to independence. Her numbers are way down with independents. What are you talking about? Like, no, giving the Republicans whatever they want and trying to stop Biden from doing anything. When he won Arizona and you're standing against his agenda, this hardly looks like a way to win statewide again. So if she ends up losing, it's gonna be her own fault.
Oh, absolutely. Democrats don't trust her. Republicans don't trust her. Like her numbers are down. I don't know if I see her winning. She's got the spotlight right now, but enjoy it while it lasts.
I just hope that she loses her primary, but we're gonna have to find out. Okay, let's turn to someone potentially bigger. It isn't just crazy first-time Republican candidates that refuse to admit. Oh no, sorry, no. I'm gonna stick with the last bit of that previous thing. Well, don't you worry, we'll get to Kyrsten Sinema. But for now, I say, nah. Okay. It isn't just fringe candidates who are supporting Trump's big lie. We also have people way up on the political Republican food chain. Steve Scalise was asked about the results of the election, and here is what he said, and you'll also see what he refuses to say.
So I've been very clear from the beginning. If you look at a number of states, they didn't follow their state-passed laws that govern the election for president. That is what the United States Constitution says. They don't say that the states determine what the rules are. They say the state legislatures determine the rules.
But the states all certified.
They didn't follow those state legislative.
The states all certified.
Follow those legislative rules. Right, but at the end of the day, are we going to follow what the Constitution says or not? I hope we get back to what the Constitution says, but clearly in a number of states, they didn't follow those legislatively set rules.
So you think the election was stolen?
What I said is there are states that didn't follow their legislatively set rules. That's what the United States Constitution says. And I think there are a lot of people that want us to get back to what the Constitution says we should be doing, not just with elections, with a lot of other things too. And then there's some people that want to just ignore what the Constitution says and do their own thing.
Okay, so Sabrina, let me ask you a question. So that's Steve Scalise, someone that is big up in Republican leadership in the House. There, he keeps saying they didn't follow the rules, but when asked, was it stolen? He won't say that it was stolen. Do you prefer this weaselly, like I want you to believe that I don't think it was fair, but I won't say it because then I'll get in trouble. Is that better or worse than if he had just said, no, it was stolen? Biden's an illegitimate president. He stole the whole damn thing. It was a big corrupt con. Which do you prefer out of the two?
I guess I would probably just prefer the outright one, which clearly we weren't gonna get because he had so many opportunities. Like he was asked point blank, oh, was it stolen? Was it stolen? And after like what, the second or third time, clearly he's not gonna say it. So yeah, it would have been preferable, but either way, I feel like the result's still the same.
Yeah, he not only didn't say that, there was quite a bit he didn't say. He didn't cite specific laws that hadn't been followed. And look, you might say that maybe that's asking too much, that after 11 months they would have a piece of evidence to point to. But you shouldn't really be shocked that he wasn't able to cite a specific law in a specific state. He was confused about his entire point. His point there was, it doesn't matter that the state certified it, the state laws weren't followed. And at the end of the day, we do have to follow the Constitution. Well, wait, which is it? You're saying state laws, you're not citing any federal law that was broken. You explicitly say it was state law. The fact that the states then certified it according to their laws, that doesn't contradict your point because we're not following the Constitution, which doesn't govern the state laws. State laws are separate. They even have their own Constitution. He's not even pointing to that. The dude seems fundamentally very confused about exactly what case he's supposed to be making for why this election wasn't valid. But you also have The fact that there you have, Chris Wallace, and he had said that he wasn't going to have on people that lied about the election. He's now finessing that because all of the Republican leaders, other than maybe Mitch McConnell, I think he says the election was fair, maybe, won't acknowledge that it was fair. And so he either bans them all on principle or he can't have on any high-ranking Republicans. He's decided that he's gonna bring them on, but go hard at them. Now, Sabrina, you've seen a version of that. Did he go hard enough there to justify bringing on people that he knows are going to lie?
No, I don't think so. It's like, sure, you asked him like point blank, like, was, the election stolen? But then where do you go from there? Because clearly they're gonna keep giving you the runaround, and he does not seem to actually be pressing them. And I think he knows he's not really gonna get, a clearly defined answer, but you need guests. Is he just not gonna have people on then? Of course not.
Yeah.
So I think he probably expected it, but yeah, there was not nearly enough pressure.
I get that you need guests, but like I kind of think like if I brought you on every time you manage to work into whatever we're talking about that the world's actually flat and that's the hill you'll die on, I feel like at some point there's other people that can come on. I don't think we need guests that bad, the whole flat earth thing. Don't worry, you're not a flat earther, so you're totally cool. But anyway, yeah, look. Again, as I said at the intro of this whole thing, we try not to talk about this too much. There's stuff like this every day, but I don't want people to forget while we focus on all the other important stuff with the infrastructure bill, the pandemic, and the debt ceiling. We got a billion Karens every day driving us crazy. They are laying the foundation to steal the election in the future. That is happening at all levels. Established Republicans, new candidates, and the guy they're almost certainly going to run for president again. And I want people to be prepared for that. And I want you to put pressure on our leaders now to take it seriously. There are things that we can actually do. The For the People Act actually would help fight back against some of the legislative maneuvers that they're doing right now in a number of states to make our elections less secure. And right now, there ain't even talk about passing that anymore like there was a few months ago. We need to be putting pressure on them so that they actually do that. Anyway, Sabrina, final question for you. At this point, how worried are you about future elections?
I am worried, like what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. I think that a lot more zany characters are going to keep running because they see that it's working, and they are kind of validating some of these more like outrageous conspiracies, that have been popping up on Facebook or truthteller.eagle.gun, so it's really validating for them, and apparently it is reachable. So I am terrified for future elections.
Okay, I think maybe the next block have a little bit more good news, at least about people trying to put pressure on people. That'll be good. So stick around. We're gonna take a short break, but we'll have more for you after this. Okay, everybody, let's jump into it and see what's going on with all of you. Oh, I don't want to forget. Today is the last day for something we've been telling you about for some time. So if you're a supporter of Indisputable, a supporter of Dr. Rashad Richey, a supporter of great commentary, you can help Rashad Richey become the best TV anchor in Atlanta Magazine's Best of Atlanta 2021. You can go to tyt.com/Rashad, type in Rashad Richey in the box and submit your vote. It is literally that simple. You've now had like 2 weeks to do this. Today is the last opportunity. If you've been putting it off, now would be a great time to do that. And if you do that, please post a comment in the chat. Maybe you can mention how many times you've done it. I'm sure you'd appreciate a win. And so let's put them over the top with that. Okay, what's going on out there in the audience? Bernie the Kiwi Dragon says, hi, John and Sabrina. The Columbus story makes me think of the people who pretend to take issue with TYT's naming non-traversy. Do they even think we believe they actually care? Yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously complicated. I can't speak for literally anyone. But yes, things can be held up as symbols of larger cultural fights. That is definitely true. I don't think that people care about Columbus Day. I don't think like, man, growing up, it was an important holiday to me and I just want other kids to have that. They see it as just fighting back against cancel culture. And if doing that means you have to defend whatever dumb, stupid thing Joe Rogan did this week or a bad joke or whatever, the fight is the fight. It's not about the individual thing. And these are the fights that you engage in if one of two things are true. Either you don't have any serious issues affecting you and you can afford to make all of your attention about this purely optional cultural stuff, or if you've been deceived by wealthy people to think that these are the fights that you should be engaged in. So there are people who believe strongly, even if it's not really founded in anything genuine. Anyway, Phoenix Dragon says, I got into an argument with my college history professor over calling Native Americans Indians. I found it racist and offensive. He called me ignorant. Professors can be dumb too. I'm sure we've all had them. Anyway, let's see. Dragonheart, wow, we're burning through this break. Dragonheart says, it's a shame she died, but if you watch the video, you see the gun long before he shot and heard him say many times to back off or he would fire. I still wish she hadn't died. Yes, it can be both things at the same time. You can wish that it hadn't happened and not want to applaud a cop for doing it, but also acknowledge that if she had been black and this had been outside of a convenience store, they're in a damn conservative country that would have had a problem with that, what that cop did. So let's just be clear about that. Anyway, Josh says on Twitch, speaking of Pop-Tarts, John, did you see they're doing an Eggo waffle flavor? I did not, but that is suddenly giving me something to look forward to. So thank you for that. That sounds pretty good. Is it gonna be like syrup flavored? Anyway, I gotta look into this. Anyway, Barkley says ketchup on mac and cheese is a crime. For those saying mayo on fries is a crime, you are so deeply wrong. But see, that's how divisive this stuff can be. We'll consider it for our list. Osborne hit 18 months as a subscriber on Twitch, says at 18, you know everything. And I know that because I was once 18. Exactly, well, you now know everything about TYT on Twitch, I guess. Northern Ice Dragon hit 12 months. Thank you for hitting that year mark. Okay, 12 seconds. Jeff Roach extended their subscription through December. Mr. Unknown subscriber, 13 months. Thank you to all of you. Okay, we're gonna acknowledge more in the future, but we gotta get back to some more news. So we'll be back in just a few. Octo Squiddies asks an important question. Isn't an Eggo already a waffle? That's deep, that's deep. Anyway, before we jump back into the news, I wanna let you know about a few things that are going on right now. Exciting news for our show tomorrow. Senator Nina Turner will be joining us once again to be my co-host. That's gonna be fun, talking with Senator Nina Turner, SNT on TDR, no big deal, it should be a shirt. So that's exciting. Sabrina's face is very excited right now. Sabrina,
you're getting Nina Turner on the show tomorrow?
Yes.
What?
We're
Oh my
kind
gosh,
of a
hello
big deal.
somebody. That is so cool, congratulations.
We got you, we got Nina Turner. We bring the best guests. That's what we do. That is our promise to America. But yeah, she's you should, everyone should. She's co-hosted before a few times actually. No, we love Nina Turner. We're very excited to have her on. Now I'm even more hyped. By the way, also if you're a new subscriber on YouTube, we now have a purple dragon emoji for you. So definitely take a look at that. And I'm gonna let you know about one more thing right now. And I'm wearing this thing, new shirt. I believe the newest shirt at Shop TYT, memorializing Anna's big TikTok viral moment about religion and what effect it should be able to have forced on your life. It's a really cool shirt. This awesome, like badass black and white image of Anna. Shop TYT, it should be on the front page now. Now with that said, Sabrina, you ready to talk about one of our favorite people in the entire world?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, let's do it. I didn't get the thumbs down. If I did, I would have moved on to the D block, but we're gonna push forward. Okay, Kyrsten Sinema is busy. I mean, why wouldn't she be? We've got this huge reconciliation bill to consider. They've got the bipartisan infrastructure bill. So much negotiations going back and forth, but nothing that I just said has anything to do with why she's gonna be busy, because she ain't doing none of that. She's gonna be running in the Boston Marathon. How exciting. I hope she trained a lot. Long hours spent running away from her constituents to get into shape. But anyway, that does not mean she's necessarily gonna be able to 100% get away from her, like job, her career, her obligations to America. Activists from a group known as the Green New Deal Network plan to confront Kyrsten Sinema in the marathon over her refusal to commit to supporting the $3.5 trillion Build Back Better Act, according to a message from the group sent on Saturday. They're apparently going to be holding signs that say, Senator Sinema passed the full deal. Senator Sinema, stop running, start listening, which I love. That's really good. And Senator Sinema, stop running from us. I think she's gonna keep going, but I like what they're doing there. What do you think?
Run, Sinema, run! Imagine if they took signs when they followed her like into the bathroom, like, you're full of shit, Sinema. Just the potential if they had time to think it through. And also, I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, but those are some clever, good ones. I'm looking forward to it. I'm only sad that they lost the element of surprise, but at least now she's running with a purpose.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I hope that they're everywhere. I hope that she has to see them a lot. I have not done a full marathon, obviously, but I did do a half marathon. And even though there wasn't a person on that route cheering for me specifically, it did actually really help me, the fact that people were cheering. If there were a bunch of signs about like, hey, John, you should be focusing on grad school, I would have taken that to heart. And my heart had a lot on its plate already at that point, let me just tell you. But anyway, I'm glad that the protesters are doing that. A little bit frustrated with Sinema. Like, I know that we talk about the news and you all watch the news, and to some extent, it's kind of like entertainment, I guess. It's kind of our hobby in some ways, but I don't want us to get away from the truth that she is a senator in the United States Senate during an incredibly consequential time, this narrow window where things can get done. And she has been training for and is going to run a marathon. And now, if that was it, okay, fine. But remember, she also spends her weekends, I guess, teaching a course on fundraising at ASU. We found out from Ken Klippenside that's where those protesters tracked her down. And not only does she have that second job, she finds time like to work as a winery intern in Sonoma County. That's fun. Now here's the thing. When Michael Scott got a second job as a telemarketer, Ryan told him, if you can't fulfill your duties, you have to quit. We have less expectations for a United States Senator than Ryan had for Michael Scott. This is like, we're talking about this, but most people have no problem with the fact that she's full of time for hobbies and internships and jobs and live and praying and traveling and all that stuff. Like, this is not supposed to be about you finding yourself. This is supposed to be about you doing the work your constituents and your country need. And she feels no obligation to even pretend to do that, Sabrina.
Well, it's not like she dedicates full-time hours to, being a politician. So yeah, I guess I can see why she's, filling up her schedule with marathons and these little extra gigs, girl boss style, girl boss gaslight, gatekeep. Is that how it goes? That's right up her alley. And as quirky and fun as her sense of style is, it's getting a little tired of not seeing her fulfill her duties to her constituents, of not fulfilling the promises that she ran on. She's like a totally different person. And yeah, primary her, Arizona, please.
Yeah, I just have two questions remaining. So one is, if you only do your job part-time, shouldn't you get paid part-time? Why is she getting $175,000 or $174,000 a year when she ain't doing the work? The second is there still time to qualify for the marathon? Because it would be great to like run right alongside her, peppering her with questions and stuff like that and live streaming the whole thing. It probably wouldn't be me, but maybe Sabrina. Sabrina, you're a runner. I don't think I would make it. I would try. I would ask one question and then fall behind.
I don't think she's that fast. I know she has plenty of experience running from her constituents, but she's got to get tired at some point. But that I hope. I'm sure there's going to be great video. I'm sure there's going to be other people hounding her down the whole way through. I'm excited.
Okay. Good. And I'll train maybe next year. Run. I'll do, I don't know, what like does Joe Manchin like race sailboats or something? I'm gonna get involved somehow. Anyway.
Yacht races.
Woo! I'm gonna get some boat shoes and then run the marathon on those. Okay, let's turn to another angle on this though. Kyrsten Sinema wants something, I guess, with the reconciliation bill. She's not being very clear about exactly what that is. So we're sort of taking whatever we can, whatever background, like inside information about it, since she's stopping the whole thing. And so we found out last week, actually, at the end of it, that she was against $100 billion in climate resiliency funding, basically to help fight against climate change, in particular, to help marginalized communities in areas that will be harder hit by the effects of a changing climate prepare for it. She had a problem with that. I had a problem with her for that, but don't worry, she now says that's not the case. Her office said that they denied reports that she wants at least $100 billion in climate programs cut. One of her comms workers said neither Senator Sinema nor our office have requested or demanded such cuts, nor have we ever heard of any such demands. Once again, the New York Times relies on an anonymous source and gets it flat wrong. Do better. Yes, please, comms guy for Kyrsten Sinema, tell us about how we're not doing our job. But I will say, Sabrina, maybe one of the reasons people are going with information that might not be perfectly sourced, or let's keep it real, they could just be lying about not requesting those things. I don't give her a single inch of faith. Is because she won't answer any questions. She won't say what she's for or against. Even in that, she doesn't say.
Yeah, it's talk to your constituents, listen to them, but talk to them at least. Say something, give some reasoning. And it does seem so weird that she used to be a greenie, right? And now all of a sudden she seems like she's all for, if you're gonna cut something, cut some climate action, or at least that's all we have to go off of right now. Yeah, no idea where she is anymore.
Yeah, and look, she may say, I'm not specifically requesting those $100 billion be cut, but she is requesting trillions be cut from it. So what do you think that's gonna be? Those are gonna be programs. Why won't you at least have the courage to identify what you're standing against or the implications of your obstruction? Anyway, maybe we'll find out after the race. Okay, for those of you on our linear platforms, thank you so much for watching. That's the end of our hour with you. But those of you on YouTube, Twitch, the members app, we do have more for you, so stick around after this. More news to come. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you, YouTube and Twitch, for being here, as well as Members app. I'm on with Sabrina. Sabrina, it's always great to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Love being here.
Cool new background for Sabrina on the show. What caused the new is it a holiday background? It looks a little bit holiday-ish.
A little bit. I mean, I started decorating my little fireplace area with like an ofrenda for Dia de los Muertos, which is coming up. So I'm just trying to make it colorful. I've got some pots. I've got my abuelita's portrait. Just slowly adding stuff little by little.
That's awesome. Love it. Okay, for those of you who are here, we're gonna get back to the news in just a sec. But before we do that, I do want to remind you that in about a half an hour, Indisputable will be starting up right after the damage report. So you can definitely stay tuned for that. Later on today, we have Old School will be coming on, which I believe Mercer's going to be working on. Mercer, who's on Old School? Do we know? I didn't see it in the doc. I'll let people know later on, but it should be exciting. I think last week was Ben Carolla on? I think it was, and JR. I think they had a fun conversation. Anyway, that'll be coming up later on. We'll get some more details for you. I want to read a few comments before we jump back into it. George says, Mark Thompson and Dave Kohler. That is a truly old school happening. They're like one of the early crew right there. So that should be a lot of fun. Let's see. George says, Tinkerbell Dragon, welcome back, making my day. Thank you for being back. Borg Dragon says it would be even better if someone ran the marathon right next to her, asking her, why won't you do anything? Any marathon runners in the chat? No, what we need to do is, so you need to just not just be there, but get her to speak. We need Lauren Windsor. Lauren Windsor's gonna train and get in that thing. Anyway. Izzy Omega hit 16 months on Twitch as a subscriber. Damn. Blue Tech Dragon gifted 10 subs. Much appreciated. I think I'm feeling pretty confident about the pinkness of my hair not happening. But anyway, Eddie O'Donnell hit 13 months. Thank you, Eddie. Ukami hit 13 as well. Big 13 sort of day. Circle Strats hit 17 months. Damn. Amazing Andrew gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you. I see other people gifting subs. Stray gifted 10. Uh-oh. Desert Ice gifted 10, Kathleen gifted 10, Glitteriest Lady Dread gifted 5, Warhammer Dragon gifted 2, and Worthless Monkey gifted 1. Very, very nice of you. Thank you to all of you. Let's see what happens with the hair. Anyway, with that, Sabrina, you ready for some more news?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. You'll be shocked to find out that another prominent right-winger who is down and on vaccines now, tragically, regrettably, has got COVID. But coming out of that tragedy, perhaps we can learn something. So we're gonna try to together. This is Alan West, the former Texas GOP chairman, who's gonna be running against Greg Abbott in the primary for the Texas governor spot, because Greg Abbott, who is a certifiable loony right-winger, ain't crazy enough for the Republicans, so they're running Alan West. Anyway, Alan West apparently had tested positive for COVID back on Saturday and tweeted, after taking COVID and flu shots, Angela West, that's the colonel's wife, I believe, tested positive. And Colonel West himself is experiencing a low-grade fever and light body aches. Out of concern for public health, Colonel West is suspending in-person events until receiving an all-clear indication, saying that he'll still be doing virtual stuff. But don't worry, he's taking it seriously, guys. He's taking hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, obviously. Now, that is good news for him. Assuming he doesn't have a big problem with having COVID, but also has malaria and worms, this is good news because they will actually treat that. So glad to see it. Understand that while his wife apparently received the vaccine, Alan West did not, or at least he's telling you that he did not. Says he's publicly stated he supports individual choice, and this is reflected in his own family. That's true. Let's also know it's reflected in his own body, because he's got COVID now, and maybe he didn't have to. There are breakthrough cases, but maybe he wouldn't have to. Anyway, it's gonna escalate in just a sec, Sabrina, but I wanted to give you a chance. What do you think about this so far?
The thing is, he talks about like, oh, I took ivermectin and the hydrochloroquine or however. But is that all you took? Surely if you got COVID, I'm sure there's probably a little something. I'm pretty sure he had some access to the Joe Rogan cocktail, if you will.
He did.
Oh yeah. So
he did.
It's just it's not fair that, in that whole thread that he is omitting some very crucial information in his treatments, which can be very misleading. Some people may not read all the way through and they'll look at that and they'll be like, oh, well, it worked for him. It'll work for me too. If I get it, it'll be fine. And then, they're gonna go to PetSmart or something, and they're not gonna even get like the actual human grade stuff. They're going to get what is more affordable for them, and they're going to give themselves unhealthy doses and make themselves more sick. It's gonna be great.
I'm glad that you brought up Joe Rogan too, because he's doing the same thing. Now we're gonna talk about the monoclonal antibody treatment, but he just lists a bunch of things and says, well, if I survive it, then who's to say? It's a good strategy. I use it myself. I was telling Sabrina during the break that I got sick recently, but I take it seriously. So I did what you do. I went to a doctor. I took vitamin C, I took vitamin D, I took echinacea, I ate boxes of Nutty Bars every day. Who's to say which cured me of my congestion? You think it wasn't the Nutty Bars? Who's paying you in Big Pharma? Anyway, that's what he's doing. He's doing the Nutty Bar grift. Now,
pocket of Big Nut. You guys get John to come back, please. I'm sorry. I can't do this without him.
Not Big Nut. And especially not in its pocket. That's the worst place to be.
Ew. Okay. Sorry,
God.
chat.
Okay. Jeez. Okay. This is serious. This is a tragedy because this man did not. He's taking ivermectin. He's taking hydroxychloroquine, and yet 8 hours later, according to SpongeBob, it progressed the way one would expect if you weren't really doing anything about it. Now they tweeted, I want to thank you all for your prayers. Angela and I just completed the monoclonal antibody infusion therapy and are in the observation period. There's a concern about my oxygen saturation levels, which are at 89, and they should be at 95. My chest x-rays do show COVID pneumonia, not serious. I am probably gonna be admitted to the hospital, and apparently that has in fact happened. Really fast little note, fun note. The day before he tested positive, he was hanging out at a gala and a fundraiser, a ball like we were talking about earlier. And here's the thing, like this is an opportunity to begin to take it seriously and say, I really should have taken the vaccine. Now you might say, well, what about the breakthrough cases? He still could have gotten it. That's true, but remember, he didn't just get it. He got it and is hospitalized over it with COVID pneumonia and oxygen issues and all that. It didn't have to be as bad. He is not going to do that. He is not going to learn from this. He's going to double down because he's a true grifter. He says, I can attest that after this experience, I am even more dedicated to fighting against vaccine mandates. Instead of enriching the pockets of big pharma and corrupt bureaucrats and politicians, we should be advocating for the monoclonal antibody infusion therapy, which, look, I'm gonna try to explain why that is the stupidest, most self-contradictory thing a person could said. Bear in mind, he's tweeting that from a hospital telling us you shouldn't get the vaccine because you should fight back against big pharma. Dude's propped up in a hospital taking $2,000 a pop antibody treatments. Whatever he's doing, it's not draining the wealth from big pharma. Now, that was pointed out by Chris Hayes. He points out that while the vaccine is free, that antibody treatment is $2,000 for each treatment. Now, Alan West can afford it. He can pay for that. Regular people, not so much. So anyway, look, he's gonna be fine. Of course he's gonna be fine. He's a right winger, he's gonna be fine. But anyway, he is needlessly spending time in a hospital. He might have long COVID as a result of this, but he comes out of it saying it's better this way because now I have natural antibodies. Sabrina, what do you think?
I just don't understand how he can use the same weak breath to say it's not that serious. Oh, but also I'm getting hospitalized. I don't understand how he can say that at the same time. And then he goes on to talk about the antibody treatment, which, like you said, it's it's unaffordable. It's $2,000 a pop, basically. That's not accessible to regular working class people. So for him to even just like throw that, oh, by the way, I got this treatment. It's I hate it. And then he goes on to say, it's like, yeah, we don't want to line the pockets of big pharma. Who are you paying for that treatment? Where do you think the money goes?
Jill Twist said it must have been Little Pharma that made the rejection. And by the way, ivermectin is owned by, is it Pfizer that makes ivermectin? I'm not sure, but it's one of the big ones. And anyway, again, he comes out of it saying it's better this way because now I have the antibodies. But again, that like this is your strategy for other people. Just treat it, get it and treat it. After going to the hospital, spending thousands of dollars, getting pneumonia and possibly suffering in a variety of ways for the rest of your life. This is my strategy for America rather than just getting the vaccine. His wife, as far as I can see, is not in the hospital. She's not got the pneumonia and she didn't have to pay thousands of dollars. So we've got a direct case study of the two different strategies in one family, but he's sure that it's his. And not because he's being honest. He's not being honest here. It's because he's running for governor as a crazy person. Merck, thank you. And Merck says not to use it, but I believe it is Merck that owns it. But anyway, thank you for that in the Twitch. Anyway, just really frustrating, Sabrina. Hope that he's fine. I don't wish ill on anyone, except the person who came up with Big Nut. Anyway, with that, let's move to a very different sort of topic, also serious. So as always with this sort of thing, the footage we're gonna be showing you is very serious. So consider yourself warned as we move into this.
All right, come on, time to get out of the car.
I'm not getting out. I just told you I'm a paraplegic. I cannot get out.
I do not want to have to. I do not want to have to.
Can you call your white shirt, please?
I will.
If you pull me out of here, you better expect.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna pull you out, and then I'll call a white shirt because you're getting out of the car. That's not an option. You're getting out of this car. So you can cooperate and get out of the car, or I will drag you out of the car. Do you see your two options here? Now, what would you like to do, sir?
I would like for you to call your white shirt.
I will when I'm done. Get out of the car.
Come on, bro.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Bro.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Listen.
Get out of the car.
I am a paraplegic, bro. You can hurt me.
Get out of the car.
You can hurt me, bro.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
What are y'all doing, bro?
Dude, you're making this worse.
I'm a paraplegic, bro. I'm trying to tell you that I got help getting in the car. Y'all can hurt me. They can hurt me.
Get out of the car.
Bro, I'm a paraplegic.
Ow. You have to get out of the car.
Ow.
Get out of the car.
Somebody help. Somebody help.
Something right here.
Somebody help.
Stop.
Somebody help.
Stop.
Someone help.
Stop.
So are y'all recording this?
Stop.
Somebody help. I'm a paraplegic.
Stop.
They are doing the unjust thing to me. Somebody please help me.
Stop.
Give y'all everything y'all asked for.
Fine. Cooperate.
Can y'all call the white shirt?
You call whoever you want.
Can y'all call the real police, please?
Look, obviously, incredibly difficult to watch. The cops don't care about anything that he's saying. He even requests having a supervising officer come, maybe someone who's been trained to deal with a person that can't just like jump out of the car because they want it for reasons that will become clear, didn't actually end up making sense. That's Clifford Owensby, by the way. It happened in Dayton. Sabrina, what do you think?
Obviously, it was so grossly mishandled, and even in the beginning, he very clearly communicated his physical disability that would prevent him from getting out of the car. And in parts of the clip, I'm not sure if it was shown right there. I know that the cop was saying like, "Oh, well, I'll help you get out." You're not qualified to do that. You may end up hurting him more, which clearly he doesn't care about, because shortly after they were dragging him out, like not even by his limbs, but by his hair. They were trying to hurt him I do believe. So grossly mishandled. And they absolutely could have called, a supervisor while he waited in the car, and they chose not to on purpose. So another day that I am grateful for body cams, because I don't know if we would have gotten this story without them.
Exactly, and again, even if you did find out what actually happened, if it was written they pulled a paraplegic man out of the car, it would not be the same as actually seeing it. And you probably wouldn't have found out about that. We know that they frequently lie. Remember how they initially wrote up what happened with George Floyd. Now, we think it's important to add context, so we're gonna add context. Why were they doing this? Does that mitigate or ameliorate in any way what you just watched? Well, officers had been monitoring a suspected drug house on September 30th when they saw Clifford Owensby leave. After finding prior drug charges on his record, officers wanted a police canine to sniff around his car, which required him to exit. Now, he tells them he was picking up cable TV boxes from rental properties he owns, including the house the police had been watching. So again, totally justifiable. Again, needless more damage and harm being done thanks to a needless war on drugs, but like, they don't believe him, obviously. No, there's no way that you were just there picking up cable TV boxes. You don't own property to rent out. You're there for drugs. That's what they believed. And they weren't gonna listen to any of his excuses, whether it was about why he was there or his physical condition. There's just this like assumption that whoever comes across their path is lying to them, deserves no respect, deserves no consideration of their physical condition or the harm that might be done to them. It's just terrible and needless. Any final thoughts?
Absolutely, it's just another example of racial profiling, and I think I saw that supposedly as a result of this. Now that the video's out, they're going to offer training to these officers and that entire department. But I don't think that that's going to be enough, because clearly this issue is not going to be resolved with like a few hours of a quick class of like somebody coming from the outside, or even somebody within the police department refreshing their racial bias training. I don't think it's sufficient. I think it's a very deep rooted problem. I mean, a lot of police officers donated pretty heavily in the 2020 election in favor of Trump. So I think that there's a common thread here. So I think it's a deep rooted problem. And disgusting.
Yeah, and it's not to say that like there couldn't be training that they haven't gotten for how to treat people with basic decency who have physical disabilities. But again, the answer is not always more training. They're trained. And some of this stuff, they don't need to be trained to know that you're not supposed to treat people this way. We need to be less focused on the training they get in seminars and more focused on the training they give each other in the locker rooms, in the squad cars, in the bullpen. The culture they bring people into and enforce that this is how you should act. And like calling people out for their misdeeds, that's not acceptable. You should not act that way. Because there's two competing sets of training and we know which ones they follow. When by the book they're supposed to do X, but Y is what, like all the boys, like that's what they do in practice and we're supposed to defend our own. That's what they actually do. We need to be more focused on that and not think that bringing in more counselors or whatever is gonna solve all of our problems. It clearly hasn't been working for decades. Anyway, we have time for one more story. I'm gonna do a little call to the team. We're gonna save F for tomorrow. We're gonna move ahead to G. Okay, because this is a story that Sabrina brought to my attention. So in just one moment, I'm gonna get to that. I wanna read just a couple of little things over on Twitch. Lisa Egan hit 4 months. Thank you for being a subscriber. The Amazing Andrew hit 9, says more than half a year. You got a sub, baby. Thank you for being here. Cutman hit 4 months as well. Jesper gifted a tier 1 sub, thank you. Joey John hit 10 months, says woohoo, woohoo to you, thank you. Lord Harlock hit 3 months as well. Love seeing this broad range of numbers. Some people have been around for almost 2 years, others just a few months, but glad to have you here. Let's see, finally, Non-Human Humanist says in the super chat, I don't wear sunblocker, not getting pap smears, also won't take the HPV vaccine, also go to nuclear dump sites for holidays. I am not worried about cancer since chemotherapy exists, right? Right? Yeah, that's how people act. For some of that is actually how people act though, unfortunately. Anyway, and Rialan in the super chat is requesting a Nina emote for tomorrow's show. I think we need to make that happen for tomorrow. I'll do it myself. I'll do it live myself. Okay, with that, let's jump directly into this fun little video.
Check our body check. Find out how dangerous
unfortunately, we had to censor a little bit more of that. But one of the kids casually walking by on the way to class just says "F off," and I love that. I've talked on the show about having to deal with that same sort of crowd of people back in the 40s when I was in college. Now it wasn't about vaccines. They were holding up, like pictures of aborted fetuses and things like that, and yelling at me about God. And it worked. I became an evangelical as a result of it. But yeah, the kids get it. Maybe these Facebook moms and uncles don't get it, and they believe whatever they saw like on a forum. But the kids aren't having it, Sabrina, and so I'm glad that they weren't buying that propaganda.
There's something really funny about these people who are protesting outside of schools because the masks and the vaccines are disrupting the children's lives when they are harassing children themselves as they walk into school. Like, who are you really advocating for here? Like, don't lie, don't pretend it's for the children. They don't care. They are embarrassed by you. Like there's just something a little funny about that.
Yeah, and there was like one of the signs was "My child, my choice." Those ain't your children. Leave them to their choice then, huh? Look at the sign, buddy. You wrote it. You wielded the Sharpie. Anyway, but thank you to the kids in that video. But it did remind us of one other thing. We wanted to give Sabrina let me know about an update to a story we talked about a little bit before. We almost never have good updates to past stories. We have one here. So I'm gonna play really quickly a video that you might recall.
Do you see all these homeless people around? Are they dead in the streets with COVID? Hell no. Why? Where are the biohazard bins for these masks? Where are they?
So the anti-vax woman in that video is trying to use an unhoused individual as a prop in her propaganda, and he just yells out, "'Cause I've vaccinated you," and then it gets blanked out. Well, that individual is Ray, and some people, activists, tracked down Ray and set up a GoFundMe to help Ray find some housing. And as of when I screenshotted this morning, they had raised $31,814 for Ray, doing more good in this one fundraiser than all of everything the anti-vaxxers have done. So Sabrina, thank you for telling me about that. It's still up, by the way, if people want to help, but I love that bit of good news.
No, yeah, it's so exciting. Definitely, the user behind Film the Police LA was the one who sought out Ray to, get his permission to even get this GoFundMe together, and then through the People's City Council were the ones who really helped push it. And I think because of that, that's how the fundraiser got to be, so high. I don't think anybody expected it to reach 30,000. And even in the screenshot that you just posted, there is a $5,000 donation by a James Kimmel. Do you think that's Jimmy Kimmel? Do you think?
I guess that's gotta be Jimmy Kimmel, right? I didn't notice that. That is amazing, Sabrina, that you noticed that. I guess it probably is. I guess we'll find out tonight on his show. I assume he'll probably talk about it. We'll find out. Anyway, thank you for letting me know that. And it's still there if anyone would like to give. Sabrina, as always, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. Where can everyone follow you?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me again. I love being on here, even if we're not purple. But you can find me on youtube.com/Abelina Sabrina and twitch.tv/Abelina Sabrina.
Thank you, Sabrina. Have a good one.
You too.
And for all of you at home, thank you for watching. We got a big week planned. Senator Nina Turner will be joining us tomorrow. Maybe we'll have that emoji. Check back tomorrow on YouTube and find out. But either way, a lot of fun to be had. I will be joining Cenk Uygur on the first hour of the Young Turks, leading that hour. So definitely stay tuned for that. But until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.